Hi, this is Professor Matuzak. Just want to go over the lab assignment, the packet tracer, 2 point what was it, 2.7.1, I think, or 2.9.1. So real quick, I've done most of the setup here already. If you look at the completion, it's at 48%. So I've set up four of the routers, P2, P3, BC2, and BC3. So the only two routers I have left to set up are P2P1 and BC1. And that's where most of the configuration is anyway. So real quick, I thought I'd walk through that. What I've done here also, if you're not aware of it, something really good to do is click on check results and go to assessment items. And this shows you what has already been done. So you can see again that basically what I said about P2P 2 and 3 and BC 2 and 3 are done, but the BC 1 and the P2P 1 are yet to be done. But this will also tell you what you need to do. So let me go ahead and close that out. So I'm just going to go, let's go to P2P 1 right now, and let's start doing that. What I can see here is these are the networks I have to set up. So I'm going to type in enable and then config T to move me to the global configuration mode. It's going to be router OSPF 10. So that puts us in a router configuration mode. So this is basically for the routing protocol. And I have three networks to set up. So I'm going to say network 10.0.0.1. And notice it's a 30-bit subnet mask. But since we're doing the inverse mask, it's basically just the opposite of what the subnet mask would be. So it would be 0.0.0.3. And all this is being set up in area 0. So we'll do that. So there you go. That's the first network. And you notice also we've gotten some points on the board. Same thing with the other networks. 10.0.0.9, same thing, because it's got the same subnet mask, 0.0.0.3 in area 0, and network 10.0.0.13. And again with the 0.0.0.3 area 0. So that should be all of my network setup here. Now, some other things that we need to do, let's scroll down a little bit. Says activate OSPF. That's basically what we've done. That's a step that we've already done. Activate OSPF by configuring the interfaces of the network devices and the data service network where required. We're not quite there yet. Configure router IDs, but that's BC1, 2, and 3, and we're on PDP1, so we don't have to worry about that one. Configure OSPF so that the routing updates are not sent into networks where they're not required. Well, on this one, since P2P1 is connected to BC1, is connected to P2P2, and P2P3, all of its interfaces should be sending out routing table updates or router updates because all of its interfaces are connected to other routers. So that's fine. We don't have to make any passive interfaces on this one. This one talks about BC1. We're not on that one. This next step here is also for BC1. The step after that is also BC1. We're not there yet again. Configure OSPF routers at the gigabit Ethernet interface cost will be 10, and the fast Ethernet cost will be 100. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's going to be, let's see, auto cost, reference bandwidth, and that is 1,000. Again, do the reading on that in the chapter, and it will cover the details of how to configure that. Basically, it's saying that everything is based off of a 100 megabit per second rate. So 100 megabits per second is given a value of 1. Well, the problem with that is if you have faster speeds, the faster speeds will also be given a value of 1, and it'll treat a gigabit or 10 gigabit connection the same as fast Ethernet, and that would be incorrect. Um, Configure the OSPF value of PDP-1 interface serial 011 to 50. All right, so let's do that. So that's going to be interface, excuse me, exit and interface serial 0/1/1. And now I have to set the IP OSPF cost, right, to 50. And hopefully that gave me some points. Also, I believe I need to set the other values of the interface here. So I think it's IP, excuse me, interface. Well, no, we're already in the interface, but it's going to be IP, no, router OSPF, IP OSPF 10, area 0, I believe is correct command. So I think it's pretty happy with that. So now we're at 61 points. What else do we have to do? Oh, and for this interface, let me just make sure that's the correct interface. That's the interface that connects to BC1, so let me check on this one. Not a P to P1, right? And that is this interface here, 020. I believe that's correct. 020 on this side. And that connects to the BC1, which, okay, so the serial's 200. Let's go ahead and set that up. And now what we have to do is set the hello and the dead interval to twice their value, right? So let me go ahead and do that. So it's going to be IP OSPF hello. So it's normally set to, I believe it's like 10 milliseconds, so we'll set it to 20. And IP OSPF dead. So again, twice the value would be 80 in this case. Again, check the reading and I'll tell you what the value should be. So there you go. And I think for this guy, it's basically set up. But let's just verify that. Let me go down here and we'll click on check results again. Assessment items. We're on PDP-1. And if I look here, it looks like everything is set up correctly. Cool. So now all we have to do is set up BC1. So let's go over to that. So I'll hit close. I'll go over here to BC1. Same sort of thing. We're going to go ahead and type in enable. and config T, and now router OSPF 10. And now we'll do our network statements. So again, I want to make sure we're looking at BC1 here. So the first network will be 10.0.0.14. And again, we can see that is 30-bit subnet mask, so 0.0.0.3, and everything is in area 0. The next one will be network 64.0.100.2. Again, it's still a point-to-point connection, so it's still going to be 0.0.0.3, area 0. And the last, let's see, it didn't like something. Let me fix that real quick. A little typo. And then the next one will be network 10.0.1.1. But now for this one, it's going to be /29. So that would be 0.0.0.7. Again, it's still area 0. So we're at 69%. Let's take a look and see what other things that we have to do here. There's a few things. Well, it is BC1, so I need to set up a network ID. The other thing is, if I'm on BC1, I am connected to what? BC1, I'm connected to P2P1, so that interface cannot be passive. I look at this connection is connected to both BC2 and BC3, so it needs to get the routing updates there. So in that case, that interface cannot be passive. Now BC1 is connected to the cloud. I'm thinking that connection, which is I believe that connection there should be a passive interface, and that is serial 011. Serial 011 should be passive. But I'm gonna check here. That's connected to the cloud. We shouldn't be sending updates to the cloud, right? But I'm gonna check here just for giggles. We'll look at BC1, passive interface. Yeah, it should be passive. Cool. So that was correct. So let me go ahead and do that. I go back in here. It's been working some magic while we've been away, but let's go ahead and say passive interface. That should be serial 0/1/1. So okay, we're at 71%. So that's nice. What other things do we have to do? Well, we do have to set up a router ID on here as well. And this one is going to be 6666. And notice here it says use clear IP OSPF process command for that to take effect. So if I want to do it right here, I'll just do a do clear IP OSPF process. So I can do it right there. So as reset all OSPF processes, I'm going to say yes. So now it should be going through a cycle, and it'll let us know when it's ready. So there you go. What else do we have to do here? So we've done that part. It says configure OSPF with the highest OSPF interface priority, so will always be designated router of the multi-access network. All right. Um, so the multi-access network, that is this connection down here to these guys. So that would be interface BC1 would be the interface serial 10, no, excuse me. Yeah, it'll be the gigabit 000. So let's do that. Um, all right. I'm going to be IP OSPF 10 area 0. See what that does. Ooh, gives us some points. At this point, it says, and points are always good. I've done that part. So the interface priority will always be the designated router. So I'm going to say what? IP OSPF. Let's do the question mark at this point. And here's the things I can do. Well, there's one thing in there that says priority. So that sounds like that sounds likely. Now, if we do another question mark, you can see that goes from 0 to 255. If I put in a 0, that means we do not want this device to be a domain controller, a DC. So if I want to give it the highest value, that would be 255. You have to be careful with Cisco because sometimes the lower number is good, other times the higher number is good. You just have to know which one. So there you go. That should set that up. Let's see, what else do we have to do here? Of course, we need to configure the other interfaces as well. Um, there's this interface up here that's connecting to to P1, and that needs to be configured. Um, so let's do that. So that's going to be interface. That should be, trying to get my mouse here. That should be serial 10, 010. So a couple things that we have to do here is I have to do the IP OSPF 10 area 0. That gives me a little bit. I'm going to do the IP OSPF, and then I'll do the hello, because both sides of that connection have to be consistent. So if I set one side to 20, the other side has to be set to 22, or they won't be able to talk to each other. And I have to do the same thing with the dead time. Again, it's 4 times the value. So in this case, it should be it's going to be twice the value should be set to 80. So there you go. So now we're looking pretty good. Let's see what else we have to do. We're at 90%. So we've done that part. Oh, it says configure a default route. Oh, it says automatically distribute the default route to all routers in the network. Okay. So let's go back and do that. So that means I have to go back to router OSPF 10. And let's do the question mark there. So that's what I want to do is I'm going to do the default information originate. So that will take your static route, bring it into OSPF. So when BC1 sends the updates, it'll tell everybody about that static route. and the other routers will incorporate that information into their routing tables as well. So that static route will tell you basically your static route will say, oh, this is the way to the internet, and it'll pass that information to all the other routers to let them know which way to go. But so I've got that essentially, it's like the sign saying, hey, this way to the internet. Um, but I haven't actually set up the route yet. So I need to do that. So I'm going to set up the static route. So I'll say IP route. Again, I'm doing a route of last resort or a static a route. So 0.0.0.0.0. The inverse mask is 0.0.0.0.0. So this basically says this will match um, any IP address to subnet mask. But since the subnet mask is very vague, with all zeros, this will be basically it's called a route of last resort. It's going to try this one last. So if there's a valid way to get to somewhere, it's going to choose that. If it can't find it in the routing table, it will choose to go here. And then finally, I've got to point to the cloud, and that would be serial 011. So now I'm at 98%. All right, so I'm missing something. Let's see what it is. Let's go back to check results, assessment items. Oh, I didn't do the auto cost. All right, so we need to fix that real quick. Um, Hit close here. Um, there's my 100%. Now that's great, but what I need to do is check to see if this darn thing is working. So I've got all this stuff set up. I'm trying to get to this router here. I'm just going to be to the internet server. Let's say if I go down to PC1, I'm going to open up PC1, go to desktop, go to the command prompt, and what I want to do is I want to ping 203.0.113.100. All right, so that's now if I can ping that guy, that means I've got a connection, and the connection will go both ways. So let me hit that. So I'm pinging. It says the request times out because it's actually it's taking a little bit too long in the first one, but then it sorts it out. It figures out with the rest of the packets I can make the connection. So if I try to do that again, since all my tables are now set up, it immediately works. So boom, we're done. Got any questions? Let me know. Thanks a bunch. Bye bye.